Hello, everyone. This is again Ash and Simon from the Nice Game Bunker in Bonn, and we're back with another rendition of our Battleground era overview. And today we're going to talk about the last battleground in the game, the Sabbat Wars.
So this is the final battleground in Vampire the Masquerade Heritage, and this brings us to the 20th century with the epic war between the Camarilla and the Sabbat, and depending on the player count, even the Anarchs getting in on the action. So this is the first battleground that really expands us from the map of Europe and gives us a look at the wider world in the 20th century. So each of the players is going to be controlling one of these factions. They're going to be sending their minions out to spy on each other, to kill each other, to reinforce positions all around the world. And when the dust settles at the end of all this, one of these factions is probably going to be on top, and you want to be that player.
As always, when we talk about battleground mechanisms in Heritage, what you do is basically recruit a character and then you apply the effect of that character to the battleground. Now, in terms of the Sabbat Wars, what we do is actually we look at both the geographic attribute of the character and their archetype, which is the coin, mask, feather, and sword in the top left. For example, when I recruit the trader, who is a wealthy archetype from the south, what I'll be doing is I'll be adding a token, a power token, to the south, because that is what wealthy characters do.
Right, and if we move through the other symbols, the other archetypes, we'll start with, let's say, the warriors. Now, the barbarian is a warlike character from any region, which means that you can take any token from any region in the world and remove them from play. So in this case, we have the Camarilla, and we will attack the Sabbat. If we move on to, let's say, the clandestine characters, they're, of course, spies and sneaks, and they can be used to flip over a token. And what does this mean? Every token actually has a variable strength from 1 to 3. And at the end of the game, we're going to flip over all of them and count up their strength in each region and see who dominates these regions, and that's how you win. So by spying on other tokens, you have a better sense of the position on the field and who to mess with. Finally, a scholarly character. This will allow you to move tokens around. So in this case, moving any token from a northern region to another region. And this is a way to bunch up your enemies where their strength is sort of wasted, and where you can get the majority.
Right, and again, I really like how this ties in with the theme, because you have the wealthy characters providing the troops, you have the sneaky characters doing the reconnaissance, you have the warriors actually doing the killing, and you have like the strategists moving the pieces.
Exactly. And finally, the setup, and I guess the battleground scheme is something we can go quickly into. The setup, players are randomly assigned a faction at the beginning of the game. Now, depending on the player count, that will either be simply the Camarilla and the Sabbat, or at 3 players, the Anarchs get involved as well. And the Anarchs want a stalemate. And the battleground scheme is very simple. You simply take your coterie and activate them on this battleground, which means that depending on the color and the archetype of the coterie members, you can carry out those effects on the field.
Sabbat Wars is, in my opinion, the most involved and the most complex battleground in the game, especially when you take into consideration that there's another involved battleground, the court, going on at the same time.
I think right from the start, there's some interesting twist going on here, which is that you are committed to a faction from the beginning. Unlike the other ones, you're not able to sort of decide how much you even invest or are linked to the outcome. You will lose these points and give them to the opponent if you don't get the outcome that you need. So that's the interesting thing, and also you will potentially be tied up with a partner. And I think there it's kind of a free rider paradox where you and your partner both want to get these points for your faction winning, But if your partner invests, i.e., recruits characters and focuses more on this battleground than you do, well, then that frees you up to get points in the other battlegrounds and in the other ways.
Right, and I mean, obviously that depends on the player count as well, whether that is an option or not. Talking about the player counts, I think it's also very interesting when it's a three-player game and you have the Anarch player coming in, who is basically only winning if no one else wins, which is another kind of interesting balancing act to consider. And we're always interested to see what players come up with to resolve these situations, right?
And I think because of the dudes on the map kind of elements, there's more scope for kind of politics. You know, like you can directly say, "I will kill your guy." If you don't do this, or if you do this, or it's all about trying to, like all the battlegrounds, trying to convince the players that you're not the threat here. Right. You're not the bad guy.
But the fact still remains that because you've got this fixed role, you have a natural inclination to just go in there and try to push your side because your side is clear. And actually, with these clear character actions that you have, you also have a very nice way to do that. Unlike some other battlegrounds where the impact is not immediately clear, here it's very clear. I can just remove this bad token with my warrior. I can make a coterie of warriors and activate it again and again to kill everyone and do this kind of planning. So that's a very satisfying feeling as well, which I guess isn't really necessarily strategy, but another thing that we can tell you about how this battleground plays. All right, that's it for our Battleground overview series. If you like the content, as always, it would be great if you give us a like, if you subscribe, if you share the stuff, or even pre-order the game, which you can also do following the link at the bottom of the video. We'll be back with more stuff, clans, characters, and so on and so forth in the next few weeks.